Hello, welcome back to another update on Hex++. In this update, I'm going to be going over Iota embedding, compile time, expression evaluation, and finally save variables. So Iota embedding is placing a value directly into the spell itself instead of using patterns to calculate a value. So like you could put 2.3 directly into your spell. In order to do that, for your spell to be able to actually recognize that and use it, you have to put it into an introspection retrospection pair. So, like introspection 2.3 retrospection. And so, my compiler before did not use this technique. However, now I have set it up to do so. The main reason why it wasn't doing that from the get go is because I actually didn't know about the technique whenever I originally made the compiler, but now I do, so I've implemented it. Additionally, the Iota embedding allows me to have compile time expression evaluation. And so, for instance, this 3 divided by 5 here is going to be zero point 0.6. The compiler now can tell that this is going to be zero point 0.6 and will set it as zero point 0.6 in the actual hex pattern output. And that extends into functions as well. So if the functions are something that can be evaluated at compile time, it will do so. So just to show that off, just let it compile. Okay, so it's still generating the command like before, but now if I go into here, you can see let's put the 2.3 in here. It's evaluated the 3 divided by 5 as 0 0.6. And it's even taken this vector of 6 for POW23 and turned it into a vector of 6 for 8. So that's the basics of Iota embedding and expression evaluation. This spell itself doesn't really do anything, but if I go to the examples here, there are some new examples going over save variables. So save variables are variables that maintain their value between castings of the spell. So if you cast the spell once, then the value will be, whatever you set it to initially, and then you can change that value, and for future castings of the spell, that value will be changed. So here I am defaulting this pause variable that is a save variable to null. So the first time this spell is cast, pause will be null. However, later I can change pause. Here I'm changing it back to null. Here I'm setting it to the position I'm looking at, and that is what pause will be the next time I cast the spell. So if I take this spell here and compile it, then here it will generate the give command like before. And I can go into Minecraft, put this command into a command block. So now I have this spell. So what this spell does is I look at a block, say this one here, and it saves it into that position. And then now I can look somewhere else and cast it, and it breaks everything between those two positions that I have looked at, and it resets the position back to null, so the spell can be used again. So I can just go wherever I want and just break everything. So save variables is very important. They work very differently from regular global variables. You need to keep in mind that whatever value you set here is not necessarily, what it's going to be whenever you're running your spell. Obviously, it's a save variable. But another thing you need to keep in mind is that it can only be set to something that is compile time evaluatable. So like null, it can evaluate that at compile time, but like array cast here at compile time, it doesn't know what block you're going to be looking at during the initial casting of the spell, so you can't use that. Additionally, as a bit of a limitation of the current implementation, You can also not reference other variables in your save variables. Your global variables can reference your save variables, though, but not the other way around. So you need to be careful and make sure that this is compile time evaluatable. So moving on to another example. This is a bit of a more, I don't know if it's much more complex than the other one, uh, but it has a bit of a, I guess, user interface, which makes it feel more complex. Not not a terribly advanced user interface. But if I just go back over this command block, I think I forgot to actually compile this. If I come over here and compile it again, you see this too is using save variables. Um, I need to move this down here so you can see it. So yeah, generates the command. And you can also see that it's generating all in this file still. I can go here, paste in the new spell. So this spell is a bit of like a teleport waypoint system. You can see if I cast it now, it just prints null in chat. That's kind of just an indicator that you did something wrong. You used it incorrectly just to avoid a mishap and to let the player know. But if I say come over here and look straight down and right click, it will print that location that I'm standing at into the chat. And now, if I actually look here, you can see the sort of list of locations. Currently, it just has that location I put in there. And I can come over here and cast it, and it will teleport me over to that location. The neat thing is that I can come over here and set another location, and this is done by crouching and looking straight down. And if I cast it, it'll take me back over here. But if I crouch without looking straight down, I can cycle through the locations, cast, teleport to the other one. And I can set like an arbitrary number of locations, however many I want. Teleport myself over here, stuff over here, back over on top of the tree, back over by the pumpkin patch, and just around and around. This version of the spell doesn't have any way to cycle backwards or remove locations, but that's something you could add. So that is about it for going over the new changes. I will be, committing these changes to the main branch shortly. They're not on there as of recording, but they will be by the time the video comes up. Thank you for watching.